Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's video we are going to be building a wall of bookshelves. It has been a dream of mine to have 5 IKEA Billy bookcases in a row on my wall. I measured it years ago and I knew that they would fit behind our couch in our living room, and today is finally the day. We are going to IKEA and we're making this book loving gal's dream come true. I am so excited. For a very long time now, the 2 bookcases I had previously have been at capacity, and I have had book stacks all around my house in various places. Boxes of books downstairs in our basement in storage, especially as our 3 children grow older, read more. I was filling the left side bookshelf with more and more of their books so that they were easily accessible to them, so that they felt like they were included in my library dreams. Even though they all have their own little bookshelves in their bedrooms, I wanted them to be included in the main living space as well. Full transparency, we will be having little clips here and there of the Billy bookcases being built, but they will be being built by my husband and my children. I don't know what it is. I am a smart, educated woman. I am independent. I feel like I can do anything myself. Building things is not a skill that I have. Even IKEA. I cannot figure it out. I built my book cart myself and had to undo it and start over 3 different times. It's a very frustrating experience for me. So you won't be watching me build my bookshelves, but there are clips of the bookshelves being built, putting them into place, and we will be reorganizing, getting all of my books from the various places around my home and getting them up on the shelves. So without further rambling, let's get all of these books on these shelves. I'm so excited. We then realized to maximize space, we could steal one of the shelves that would be hiding behind the couch here and tighten up the shelves on the top. So we'll have 4 shelves on shelf 2 and 4 behind the couch. I wanted to keep things symmetrical, and I did make sure that regular paperbacks would fit standing up. And then on the very top shelf that is quite short, and those books need to be laying down. At this point, I just really needed to get the books up off the floor and roughly organized by genre on the shelves to help me feel a bit less overwhelmed. Alright everyone, this is how things are looking. I know they're not the most aesthetically pleasing, Instagram worthy shelves. I'm so happy how they turn out. I am definitely going to do a little bit of rearranging, so if you have any suggestions, please let me know. But we are going to do a quick overview of each of the shelves. So here on shelf number 1, it goes from really young children's books up to some younger options, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Dog Man, Magic Treehouse. I do have Small Children, Series of Unfortunate Events, the Rick Riordan series. These are the level of books that my sons are reading at currently. And I just kind of, as the shelf goes up, we are kind of aging up, if that makes sense. So we have His Dark Materials, Harry Potter, and a bunch of children's classics over here. And then some more nostalgic reads for me personally. Up here, we're moving into YA sci-fi and then into fantasy. So we do have some older series over here that again are quite nostalgic for me, as well as some that I think that my sons will really like. I would love to do a reread of The Hunger Games soon. We have, these are all still accessible for my children. And then up at the top, we have some lingering fantasy. Then we're moving into mystery type YA books, and then into more classics. These ones are young classics, but they are a bit more fragile, and I just want to protect them and not have my kids be rough with those ones. And I didn't know if this series was considered YA fantasy or more like a contemporary or just dystopian vibe. Let me know in the comments. On shelf number 2, we do have Gone with the Wind there because it's just so short. It fits in this short space. And then we have some hardbacks have laid down, and then my ACOTAR series fits perfectly right there on the end. And then obviously that flows into the rest of my SJM, and I wanted it side by side with A Court of Silver Flames. This is my fantasy romance section. These ones are a bit spicier, aged up. Wouldn't recommend that my children read these ones, so they are a bit higher. I have all of my JLA books here. So many books I want to read ASAP. I know that this one isn't really romantasy, but I just feel like it fit on this shelf the best. Then we have some younger YA paranormal type series here. This is like a vampire section. And then moving into some other YA fantasy series. And that continues on this shelf here. I have my Cassandra Clare books. And then again, more YA fantasy. These are, I'm borrowing from a friend. I need to finish off that Red Queen series. And then down in here, I just have a lot of mass market paperback books that I'm not going to read anytime soon, so they are hiding behind the couch. On this middle shelf, that is just kind of the focal point of my bookshelves, I have a lot of my favorites. So you guys know that the Throne of Glass series is an absolute favorite of mine, as is Crescent City. I do have some paperbacks of Throne of Glass, and this is my version of Jelly Jubilee. My son bought this for me for Christmas, so I always keep it with my Crescent City series just because I think it's funny, but they're blocking my paperbacks for Throne of Glass. Then we have Fourth Wing. Absolutely loved that book. Same with Addie LaRue. I'm not sure how I feel about having these two outward facing, but I just have room for more books and I need to fill the space somehow. We have quite a number of TBR books here. I literally just picked up Quicksilver on Indie Bookstore Day, which I'm really excited about. Now we have some favorite adult fantasy authors. So of course I have Brandon Sanderson. I have Tress of the Emerald Sea, but my mom is borrowing that, so I'll have to make some room here. And then I absolutely love John Gwynne as well. Really love the Faithful and the Fallen series. I'm doing a reread currently, so I can finally read the Of Blood and Bone series. Next, we have some historical fiction, moving into just adult contemporary fiction. So over here, Miss Kristen Hanna needed her own section that was very prominent. It's like literally right by the couch. If you're sitting down, you can see it. Moving into Taylor Jenkins Reid. Love those two authors. Then we have just a variety of other historical fictions I have yet to get to, except I did really love All the Light We Cannot See, so I picked up another one of Anthony Doerr's books recently. I'm consistently on the fence on whether Outlander is historical fiction or truly a fantasy. Like, clearly there's a time travel element, but I feel like it fits more with historical fiction. Let me know where you shelve yours. And then we have, Ellen Hildebrand here. I know this book is going to make me cry when I finally get to it, and some other contemporary novels. There is obviously more shelves behind the couch, but there are just books that I really don't think I'm going to get to anytime soon. So they're kind of hiding. I don't mind that they're back there. We have more adult fantasy on the top of this shelf. We have the Dark Fever series up at the top, along with Lord of the Rings, The Name of the Wind, and The Clash of Eagles. I have the first 2 books of that series. I'm currently reading through Patricia Briggs's books. They are completely out of order, so sorry about that. In my TBR Takedown series. So I wanted them out even though they're ugly, so I blocked them with this card. Sorry for the crude language, but I just found that to be so funny. That's from one of my very best friends. We have my TBR jar and some more adult fantasy here. A lot more cozier vibes, maybe you could say. Maybe not all of them, but I was trying my best. We have Robin Hobb leading into J. Kristoff. A bit of a strange combination here, but I had these 2 really large hardcovers that wouldn't fit upright, so I stacked them on top of each other, but then I wanted, the authors to be close together, so here we are. And more adult fantasy. You'll notice I have like the first book in a lot of series because I haven't started it yet. Actually, I have read this and didn't really love it, but I know the series improves, and this is actually the second book, but I got it for 50 cents, so I will pick up the first book eventually. And now we have my adult romance. These are more contemporary vibes. I have dark romance on a different shelf. A lot of these romance authors are favorites of mine. I did keep the authors together. I was considering doing a rainbow because these books are so bright and colorful, but I opted to keep the series and the authors together. Again, these are just laying down because they are larger trade paperbacks. And I have this cute iron statue that my husband got for one of our wedding anniversaries. We've been doing traditional gifts, so whichever year that the prompt was iron, he got me that, and I love it. We have Miss Elsie Silver over here, one of my very, very favorites. I need to pick up the other 2 books in the Gold Rush Ranch series. I have read those, I just don't own them. Chestnut Springs is my favorite series of her so far, and I have not yet started Rose Hill. A lot of these books I haven't read yet. Same sort of situation happening down here. Lots of mass market paperbacks that I don't think I'm going to read anytime soon, but I can still grab them if I need to. They are behind the couch. On this last bookshelf, we have a ton of open space, as you can see. So I have some of my DVD series on the bottom, and then this like gag gift that my sister-in-law got me. Flaming Hot Cheetos is my favorite snack, so she found an eyeshadow palette that was Flaming Hot Cheetos themed. Obviously I'm not actually going to use that on my eyes. I just shoved my extra laptop cables there because no one can really see them back there. And now we have thrillers. I am out of breath. I apologize. I really enjoy squeezing in a thriller every once in a while. I feel like maybe this belongs more up here somewhere. It's probably not exactly in that spot. It's kind of sci-fi thriller. I like squeezing them in every once in a while, but I'm not as apt to keep them because unless they became a tippy top favorite, I absolutely love it and want to recommend it again and again, I typically pass them along. So many of these I have not read yet. We have just a handful of mystery books over here. It's not really a genre I typically read. And then we have sci-fi. I am lacking in sci-fi. Give me your sci-fi recommendations. I have like fantasy sci-fi, which is kind of these ones here. This is a classic sci-fi thriller, as I mentioned. And then I think this is kind of like sci-fi horror. I don't even know. That's probably not even in the right place. This is a sci-fi sort of vibe where she lives her life again and again. I don't know. I'm not as happy about my organization over here, but I also don't know how else to squeeze them in with other genres, if that makes sense. And then at the tippy top of this last bookshelf, I have my dark romances. I was going to try and keep all my romance together, but I really didn't want these books accessible to my children. I mean, if they were really determined to get a hold of them, they could obviously just get a chair and reach them. But whereas these romances are literally like you're sitting on the couch and they're right there, I wanted the ones with darker themes to be a bit more out of reach. So these are the dark romances I currently have. Dark romance is really hit or miss for me. I haven't loved a lot of the ones I have read thus far, but I have high hopes for a lot of these, and some of these are my favorites. So that was my overview of my new bookshelves. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. As I already mentioned, I know my bookshelves are not the most bookstagram or like aesthetic shelves, or maybe just not yet. Maybe I will work on that, but I'm so happy with how things are organized, at least by genre so far. There will be some shuffling around, and maybe once I'm a bit more comfortable and settled in with my new bookshelves and have time to like move things around a little bit, I can do a more in-depth tour of all of the books I have on my shelves. But I did share most books on there, and if you have any ideas for me on how I can make them look better, you can definitely leave those in the comments. But again, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video, which should be my May TBR.